Now to another line from tonight's Trump legal team filing surrounding the special master. Quote, left unchecked, the DOJ will impugn, leak, and publicize selective aspects of their investigation with no recourse but to somehow trust the self-restraint of currently unchecked investigators. Here now is President Trump's attorney, Alina Habba, as well as Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett and former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi. Good to see you all. Let's get your take, Alina, first.
I think that they were astute in their filing today. I'm proud of the legal team that brought this up. I think the fact that they did put this picture, as Mr. Turley mentioned, was more for the public eye, and that is exactly what we're not supposed to do. It's not about the public impression. It's about justice, and that is not at all what we've seen out of this administration right now. So unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of public play, and I really hope that we can get the special master put in place so that we can have some impartial mediators to look at everything and get the documents that are supposed to be with the president back and look at everything in a perfect eye. Look, the Presidential Records Act protected him and allowed him to declassify materials. Nobody talks about that. Instead, they look at the 3 criminal statutes that they brought. I think our papers are good. I'm looking forward to hearing what the judge has to say tomorrow.
Pam, I'd like to get your take, especially as it relates to the declassified aspect of this. President has broad range to declassify. Is that still an issue in question? Because I see people on the left, they just automatically dismiss it. Oh, that's not declassified. How would they know? Would they know?
They wouldn't know, Sean, but President Trump would know, his legal team would know, the counsel's office would know, and President Trump has said he has declassified these materials. He was the president of the United States and has the right to do so. You know, I think this is a case of who's going to police the police in this case. They don't want a special master. As a career prosecutor, if someone was challenging my ethics in a court of law and saying, let's bring in an independent person to look at this, I would say gladly, please come in, look at the evidence, look what we have. If they have nothing to hide, they should welcome a special master instead of fighting President Trump and his legal team at every single turn.
You know, first it was the passports, Gregg Jarrett. Then it's apparently attorney-client privilege information that they took out of Mar-a-Lago. I don't know if that has been returned yet. Now it's about a taint team, as you have rightly pointed out in your columns, is people investigating themselves. Why the mysterious reluctance, resistance towards an objective special master? And how do you cite national security when you can have somebody with a security clearance be the special master?
Yeah. Look, I read the court filing, and I must say it is one of the most feeble and anemic arguments by Merrick Garland that I think I've ever read in a court filing. No legal standing to go to court, he claims. My goodness, a first-year law student knows that if you're the target of a search and seizure, you have a constitutional right to go to court and argue a violation of the Fourth Amendment, to either suppress it or, at the very least, have a special master review and segregate the material. The other part of what was in the court filing by Garland was this crazy notion of obstruction of justice. What is that? You have to prove that a person acted corruptly and with an improper purpose. And the United States Supreme Court has narrowed it further and said you have to act immorally with a depraved and evil purpose. Where is evidence of that? If the president truly thought he had a right to access and custody of these presidential papers, there's no corrupt intent here. And look at all of the 3 criminal statutes in the warrant cited by Garland. They all require knowingly, deliberately, willfully breaking the law. If the president said, wait a minute, this stuff, I declassified it and have a right under the Presidential Records Act to have access to it, then, you know, there's no criminal intent here. All of that is not addressed by Merrick Garland. Instead, they throw a prejudicial and gratuitous photograph in there meant to be incendiary and inflammatory. They spoon-fed it to the media. It just shows you how ruthless and depraved Merrick Garland and his team of prosecutors are.
And it's exactly where I'm headed. I'll put that picture up and keep it up there for a minute. And Alina, I want to get your take on this, because this was obviously done for public consumption. This was obviously designed to influence public opinion. I think that is clear, as have all the other leaks as well. What happened to the Merrick Garland that said, oh, we'll do all of our talking in court and in our filings? Where's that guy?
Yeah, nowhere. What's happened is now they've put this picture out so that you would assume, and I am somebody who has been, and the press loves to talk about this, especially today. I'm somebody that has been in his office. I've seen it. This is not the way his office looks. They give you this appearance that you walk in and there's these top secret documents just strewn about. A. B. They don't understand. Something could be marked top secret, could be marked classified. The Presidential Records Act, he would have said this is declassified. It doesn't get a new marking all the time. He's left the office. It is a complete public spectacle, and I'm not really going to stand by it anymore. You know, I personally have gotten intimidated. People have tried to intimidate me. It's not going to work. You can't just put a picture like this and say, look.
Did the FBI do that, or was that the way that room looked before they went in there? Do you have any firsthand knowledge?
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen the press today. I do have firsthand knowledge, as you know. I have been down there. I'm down there frequently. I have never seen that. I have never, ever seen that. That is not the way his office looks. Anybody that knows President Trump's office, he has guests frequently there. It's just a joke. They literally must have gone in and taken out documents they wanted, or cover letters, as it is, and put it about so that the public believes that this is top secret documents that were on his floor. It's ridiculous. I can tell you personally, It's ridiculous. I've never seen that.
Pam, so what we're really looking at here is the Department of Justice, the FBI, staging a picture to influence public opinion. Wouldn't that also, if God forbid, with all the speculation about a possible indictment, wouldn't that also taint a jury pool? Isn't that also designed to taint public opinion against Donald Trump by laying it out that way? And shouldn't Merrick Garland say, we laid it out that way, we took that picture, we released that picture? And then he should be answering questions, I think, before Congress. Well, why didn't you keep to your word and do all of your talking in court? And where are all these other leaks coming from?
Yeah, absolutely, Sean, and Alina's right. His office is very neat, orderly. I could never, ever see him leaving anything classified, previously classified, at any time classified, laying out in the open. This was made to taint a jury, to taint public perception of him. They've been doing this for 7 years, and they're getting desperate. The midterms are coming up, then 2024. They're at the end of their rope, and they're doing anything they can to hurt him. All the search warrants I've been involved in, no one would ever pull things out and lay them out that way. It makes no sense other than they're still trying to destroy the president, and it's not going to work.
All right, great analysis, all of you. Pam, thank you. Alina, thank you. Gregg Jarrett, as always, thank you.